Hey y'all, it's Monarch Mama, and I have another video for you in the Virtual Homeschool Co-op assignments. If you don't know what the Virtual Homeschool Co-op is, I will put a link below for you to find out more information. It is a collaboration of YouTubers and bloggers that was started by Just Sew Trish, and we talk about a different subject every week. Stay tuned for the video. Hey y'all, this is Monarch Mama, and I have a assignment number 3 for the Virtual Homeschool Co-op. Our topic this week is book lists. Where do you get them? How do you use them? And how do you set out getting the kids to do the reading? And do you use a reward system? So let me just start by saying that this is not my strong suit. I'm not a heavy reader. My kids read. They really read a lot. So making them read has never really been a problem for our family, but I have used book lists in the past, and I do still continue to use them. So first question is, where do you get your book list? We've gotten our book list from a lot of different places. When the children were much younger, we used a book that was about reading to your children, and it was called Honey for a Child's Heart. And in the book, it recommends a lot of different books that are appropriate by age level and by topic. So we would go through the Honey for a Child's Heart and pick out books to read from that to make sure that we were covering books that were classics, but also choosing books wisely, because there are a lot of books out there that are just kind of, like cartoon books and stuff like that, that we just wanted to make sure that we were reading books to our children that have value to them. Not that the other reading couldn't happen as well, but we wanted to make sure that we covered, the good books as well, and books that have virtue, and books that have value and have lessons that you can apply to life from them. So the second question is, let me finish the first one. Where do you get your book list? So the first thing I told you about was Honey for a Child's Heart, and that was when the children were younger. And then as they got a little bit older, I think that it actually that book will cover through at least junior high and maybe even high school. But then once we had started using My Father's World, when we had enough children that we were using that curriculum with all 4 children, My Father's World has a book list at the very end of the book, and we began to read books off of that book list while we were using that curriculum. And it's kind of a short book list, but it's something that are good books that are associated with what it is that you're learning in that particular My Father's World book. Another place that we have gotten books from are our local library has a book list that the public school uses as advanced reading book lists, and we have used that as a book list before, because you can pick books off of that book list, and then there are quizzes on the internet that we could take to see if you to check their comprehension level. So we've used that before. We've also used something online called 1,000 Good Books to Read, and it's on the website is called classical-homeschooling.org, and it's 1,000 good books list, and that goes through kind of a Charlotte Mason method of just lists of books that are really living books that are age appropriate, and she sorts them also by whether they're poetry or biography or history or by topic. She sorts them by topic. So that's a good list. And the other thing we've used is here in Texas we have a book list called the Texas Bluebonnet List, and that is a group of books that have won awards that are by authors out of our state that have written books that have earned awards. And then there's another one, I think it's the Caldecott Award. So we've looked at those lists and read off of the Caldecott list. And then, let's see, there's one other place. Pinterest. We've used Pinterest to find book, especially now. I'd say I probably go to Pinterest now that they're in high school, and I just type in, good books for, especially for my 13-year-old. What are some good books for a 13-year-old girl? And I've used the Pinterest list of books that they've recommended for, because I like to get books that are recommended not just by educators, but books that my friends have read and that they know, that their children enjoy. And another thing we do is we will, if we see that there's a book coming out, or not a book, if there's a movie coming out that's based on a book, then we will try to read that book before the movie comes out. Like most recently, the BFG. We hadn't read the BFG. We didn't know anything about the BFG, so we got the BFG and we read that chapter book, even though it was below my daughter's reading level. We went ahead and read it just so she could know what the story was about, because we knew we would probably go see the movie. And one of her best friends had read the book and enjoyed it as a child and was planning to go see the movie. And we knew we were going to go with her, so we wanted to be able to know what the movie was about before we went to go see we wanted to know what to expect. So those are all the different places that we have used book lists from. Second question is, how many books do you choose for your children? And I don't really choose a number of books that I want them to read in a month or in a year, or I don't really try to put a limit on it or put a requirement on it, because they just love to read. I know that they're reading something. There's only one of my children that I have to watch closely to know that he's reading something. And he just doesn't enjoy reading a lot. And I'm that way too. I don't really enjoy reading fiction a lot. But I know that I'm reading other things. Like I read blogs, and I read for information, and I read for self-improvement, but I don't read a lot of fiction. So the one thing I do have to watch, though, is I try to watch for them reading biographies. I think it's important for them to learn about other people's lives. And like I said, this is an area that I'm not very strong on, so that's something that I'm glad that Trish asked this question, because I need to revisit this year and make sure that I have some biographies that I want them to read, and for them to be reading some specific things. Actually, right now we're finishing up a book, probably we'll finish it this week, called 21 Balloons, and we've really enjoyed reading it. And it's not probably on their grade level, but it's an enjoyable book. It's a fun book. So, and that's what, reading books is about, is enjoying the story and enjoying the process. So, and that one we've been doing as a read aloud. Even though my kids are 13 and 15 years old, we're doing a read aloud this year. So, and you know how they heard about the book? We didn't get it off of a book list. We got it off of Minecraft. One of the little girls that she watches on YouTube made a Minecraft world that was based on the 21 balloons. And so as we're reading the book, she knew what was going to happen, because she'd seen the videos in Minecraft about this story that this person had made. I think it's called Stacy Plays. She watches Stacy Plays. She likes to watch her. And she has a series in Minecraft that is about books that she's read. So I thought that's kind of nice. Kind of nice that that it sparked her interest in that book, and now we're reading it. So anyway, next question is, how do you set out for them to read it? And how do you require for them to get it all done? When they were younger, when they were a lot younger, we used to have a time where they would go to their room and have a quiet time in the afternoons, and that's when they would spend their time reading their books in their room, because it was nice and quiet and uninterrupted, and it was kind of a downtime after a busy and chaotic day. So that was kind of how we did it when they were younger. But now I don't really find that I have to I don't have to make them read. They enjoy doing it, and they do it without me telling them to. So it's not really it's not an issue now that they're teenagers. I don't have to make them read. Now, my one son, though, that doesn't enjoy reading, I do have to make sure that he's not on the computer all the time, that we're making sure that he is spending time reading and spending time doing other things that he enjoys. His time is really limited because he has he's taking dual credit classes at the college, and he's working at a local restaurant, and he also is still involved in Scouts, and then we have the co-op that we go to on Fridays, so his time is very limited. And then the last question is, do you have a rewards program? And we have used reward programs in the past, like the book at Pizza Hut that Trisha mentioned in the video. We have used that in the past, and then my oldest aged out of the program, so we did it for a few more years, but and we actually did it 2 years ago when my youngest was at the top of the age limit, and we finished that up and used it the very last year that we possibly could. But other than that, we haven't really had a rewards program for reading. I mean, they've just enjoyed it so much that it wasn't something that we really had to, haven't really had to push it. So, no, we don't really have a reward system. No. One thing that we have done that has been fun, though, when the children were younger, probably within the last 5 years, though, so even when they were, when my oldest was probably 13 or younger, we would read books at the table. So we would find a book that the family wanted to read together, and we would read about a chapter a day. My husband is local, so that his job is local, so that he can come home for lunch each day. So we would sit down to lunch together, have lunch, and then he would read a chapter out of the book. So that was something that I could involve my husband in, because he loves to read, and it was a way that he could be involved in our homeschool and enjoy and see how the kids really enjoyed having him read to them. So a few of the books that we've read, I would say, we've read Mr. Popper's Penguins around the table. We've read, I think we read Huck Finn, or maybe it was Tom Sawyer. We've read Charles Dickens. We've read some of the classic tales, like The Little Mermaid, but it's not The Little Mermaid. It's called like The Sea Maid or something like that. We have some classic stuff that we've read at the table. But basically, whatever it is that we feel like reading, that's what we read, and we read it around the table, a chapter a day. And I think the kids really enjoyed that. I know my husband enjoyed it, because he was able to spend time with the kids and spend time with the family in the middle of the day. So, and then, do you quiz the kids? We have in the past. We have done some quizzes at the library with the book list. Not very much of that though. I think that we have done book reports in the past where we maybe over the summer we had them read. Of course, we always do the summer reading program from the local library, but there was one particular summer where we had them write book reports for several of the books that they had read, just because it was good writing practice. So not so much to quiz them on what they had read, but just because it was good writing practice. I don't really quiz them too much. What I usually will do is sit down and talk with them about the book, and if I feel like they are telling me, because I probably haven't read the book, so if I feel like they're telling me the plot of the book, then I can kind of tell that they have read it, because they're able to tell back to me part of the story. One of the things that we did also when they were younger and we would read a book was we would take the characters of the book and we would rate them. So who do you think was the best in this story? Or who do you think it was the worst in this story? And we would rate the characters from the best in the story to the least in the story. And why did they think that? Or what could they have done in that situation to where what could they have done to make the situation better for whatever problem that was in the book, because books are about having an issue, and then there's a peak in the middle of the book, and then there's usually a solution at the end. So thinking about the storyline of the book, we would say, what do you think that this character could have done differently? What are their flaws and what are their strengths? And just talk about the characters. And that, I feel like that helps with character building in the student. Okay, well, I think that's all I have to say about book reading lists. As I said, this is not my strong area, so I'm surprised that I even had anything to say about it. But I guess we've had so many years of homeschooling that we've done something. We may not have done everything right, but we've done a lot of everything. So anyway, I'm interested to see what y'all do, because I'm sure that y'all have way better ideas about book reading lists and how to use them than I do, because this is not my strength. But anyway, we'll look forward to hearing from you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.